God, it's broken! It's broken!
Maybe the next game we can play at is Goat Simulator.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to NFR. Welcome back to SAFRL. This time for Tier 2. And if you didn't have enough of Monaco on Monday night, well, you get to have a second go. Already you see some cars leaving the pits very early on. Some of the drivers just want to get some laps around this Monaco circuit. Don't know how many of them would have practiced it at night. This doesn't make a big difference, but if you're using certain brake markers and suddenly they look a little different, it's good to get out there and have a few laps. I once made the mistake of doing all my Singapore practice during the day. No idea why. It didn't end well. This is Stoffel. In what we can actually say, the back-to-back winning Mercedes. First winner in Austria, winner in Britain. Both teammates having a go at the top step. Car that looked like it was nowhere at the beginning of the season really made the jump up, as has McLaren. As for Ferrari, better get a move on. As I say, they better get a move on. There is a Ferrari. Spikes leaves the pits. Hello, Andre, also in the comment section. Pretty busy comment section, pretty busy race circuit. Lots of cars out there, almost everybody out there. I think it's just low-key remaining in the pits for now. This is Tylee Boy on a quick lap, Panda also on a quick lap. Of course, this is one of the most dangerous qualifying sessions of the season. So easy to make a mistake when you're pushing. Find yourself in the barrier, take no further part in qualifying, start at the rear of the field. It's not how you want to start proceedings. They have a caution, and that's the reason why. There was a Mercedes that may be DSQ'd or DNF'd. I'm not sure what happened there, but there was a Mercedes in the middle of that chicane. It's since disappeared. That was Stoffel. So he will start from the rear of the field. Pantry Star sets the first lap time of the evening. Tylee Boy will be the next man over the line. It's a 1:12.3. And now Panda. Panda goes quickest. 1:10.1. Lap times are just going to keep on coming in. This is the Williams, not Schumi. Didn't see him in ages. Now I'm seeing him everywhere. Getting addicted once again. About to go over the line for his first time lap. That's good enough for P2, a 1:10.1. How close is that between the top two? I think that's 200ths of a second. Maggot. It's final corner. It's so important. Such a short straight on this circuit. Always pause before I say straight, because it's not really a straight, is it? It's the closest thing you have to a straight on this circuit, and that final corner is just so important to get the best traction that you can possibly get. You'll see the drivers getting as close to that outside barrier as possible. Sometimes they give it a clip. We saw the Mercedes of Stoffel retire from the session. We'll take no further part. We are on board with the other Mercedes. This is Loki. No lap time from him. Boinky's also out on a lap. No lap time from him as of yet. Either they left it a little later than everybody else, or they didn't get that first run according to plan. Magu's going quickly, but is this... I thought it was an in-lap because I saw him glance the barrier. Guys just doing multiple laps. Spending some time out on the racetrack. I think we need confirmation, but there is confirmation. Everybody out on the quickest compound available. Maggot went over the line and he went quickest. It was 1:09.7. Comes Panda. Was on pole. Low 1:10. He's gonna have to find himself another 4/10, almost half a second. One McLaren sits on provisional pole, the other McLaren. Shane in a McLaren. Gonna take a little getting used to. Currently in P4, a 1:10.2. It's not really fair, is it? Look at the difference between P2, 3 and 4. Absolutely nothing. Just 0.2 of a second between those three drivers. 1:10.0, 1:10.1, 1:10.2. And Skull also had a 1:10.2, but he has appeared to have retired from the session. Not sure if that is a voluntary retirement or if he had an incident out on track. So we do have a caution. Usually on other race circuits, a caution in qualifying means somebody's maybe put a wheel on the grass, maybe somebody's going a little bit slow. But on this circuit, it could very well mean somebody went into a barrier just up the road from you. Let's find some action out on track, not Shumi. He enters that very short, not so straight. The only DRS zone you're going to get on this circuit, and it's really not the most helpful. Of course, if you watched Monday night, you'd have seen safety cars did play a role, and what I was rather surprised about, so did penalties. Penalties played a big role. So if you think a track that's surrounded by Onco barriers means you can't get track limit penalties, guys still found ways to get track limit penalties. That meant that on Monday night's race it was crucial those drivers that had no penalties, they were promoted up the field as a result of some late safety cars in the race. Obviously then the field isn't allowed enough time to spread back out, and there were drivers with 3 seconds, 6 seconds, drive-throughs, 10 seconds, everything the game had to offer. So that would be, say, number one. Most important is hold on to that front wing. Don't want to make any extra pit stops. Another caution flashes on the screen. We look immediately to the track map. Doesn't appear anybody is stationary. Is that a Williams? But it seems to be on its way again. McLaren still provisional pole. This is Maggot. He's about to start a quick lap. Let's see if he can find any more time. Current best is a 109.7. Getting close to tier 1 times here. Coming up now to the end of sector 1. Let's see what he can come up with. There we go. He's found an extra 2 tenths. He's found an extra 2 tenths on what is already a very impressive lap time. Enters the tunnel. Used to be a much shorter tunnel. But now it has a very expensive hotel on top of it. Let's watch the end of Maggot's lap. Of course we saw him go quicker in sector 1. See if he's been able to stitch the rest of the lap together. Apparently not. He's dived into the pits. So Maggot 109.7 does not improve. Panda, I think that explains it. Panda went into provisional pole with a 109.0, and I think even if Maggot was on for an improvement, I think when he saw that lap time, if the improvement wasn't enough, he thought, well, I'm wasting my time out here, let me go and get a fresh set of tyres and do it again. That was an impressive improvement. And now Maggot falls down another position. He had a 109.7, it was good enough for pole and it looked fantastic. Now he's been beaten by his teammate, 109.5. Of course we saw Maggot abandon that last run of his. So the lap time you see on your screen there, that was his one and only attempt. Panda definitely not taking it slow. Interesting race circuit, Monaco. Of course, the other street circuits we have on the calendar, well, they're often modified for the purposes of F1. Roads are made wider. Things are upgraded to grade 1 standard, but not here in Monaco. Monaco, this is pretty much the road everyone drives on all year. Just 10 meters wide. The most narrow circuit on the calendar. In fact, it even breaks FIA grade 1 track status rules. Twice. Maggot taking a shortcut. This is Shane. He's got a full battery, so that tells me he's finishing an out lap, about to start a quick lap. That's not Shane. Shane's in the pits. That's Maggot. And McLaren's very close to each other in the field. Of course, Maggot has a 109.7. It's good enough for P3, but remember that's his one and only run. Other guys have put in a run, they've improved. He went out a second time, then abandoned the run. Had a fantastic sector 1, so not really sure what went wrong in that lap, but he wasn't happy with it. It's probably the #1 place on the circuit where the drivers will be picking up track infringements. 3-second penalties will be coming as a result of that little chicane, wanting to make it as straight as possible. Maggot goes over the line, finds an improvement. It's not good enough for pole, it's good enough to go ahead of his teammate. This is the Big Salva. It's such a weird name. In fact, I'm not going to call it the Big Salva. It's the Salva, surely. In fact, technically it's the Audi, because Audi did take 100% ownership of the team as of February. They were obviously percentage owners until 2026, where they would take full ownership. But at the beginning of the year they actually changed their minds, and Audi are the full owners of this team, so it's only a Salva by name. Salva has been a car of many names. Even at one stage owned by BMW. And then when BMW pulled out of F1, they actually sold the team back to Peter Salva. It's been a BMW, it's been an Alfa Romeo, and now it's a streaming service. This is the quickest man out on track, 109.0. Both of those McLarens in pursuit of something better, something to catch the Alpine up the road. So far, class of the field, we might get a 108 yet. So these guys complain about the aliens, but they're the aliens in their own tier. Incredibly quick lap times at the front. 109s for the top 4. Some of the drivers there you can see already taking the checkered flag. So let's ride on board with Panda. Is he able to improve? I think he's not got that final run. There's Maggot. Well, Maggot's definitely discharging that battery, so I think this is a quick lap. His current best is a 109.2. If we can find 2.5 tenths, he could take pole away. He's just done the fastest middle sector of all. And let's see, can he bring sector 3 together, match things up? He's gonna have to find 2.5 tenths, we said. It's gone quicker, but he didn't find the 2.5 tenths. Not Shimmy. He has split the McLarens, gone up into P3. Nothing Shane can do about it. He's taken the checkered flag. And then all we're waiting for is the RB of Pantry Star. Goes over the line, doesn't find an improvement, stays P6. It's at 110.3. And that is the end of qualifying. So that will be your pole sitter, the one and only Alpine on the circuit this evening. Of course, just the 12 runners, unless anybody's able to squeeze in here before the race. We might have a few less runners than that by the end of the race. There are your official results for qualifying. I've got 30 seconds. I've got to go through it quickly. Panda taking pole position, brilliant lap time. Then Maggot P2 joins him on the front row. They're followed by Shumi and Shane in P3, P4. Then we've got Skull, Pantry Star, Loki, Spikes, Pointies, Tiley Boy, Shums, and Stoffel. And we're back looking in the pit lane. You see, this time around we're not waiting for the cars to come out of the garage and start qualifying. This time around the cars are to our right. They're lined up on the grid. Drivers will be doing final adjustments, final touch-ups, deciding what their strategy will be. Of course, the drivers in Tier 2 do have one advantage over the drivers in Tier 1. So they get to watch that race on Monday night if they want to. They get to pick up strategy ideas, see how the race went just 2 days prior. Of course, we will have a formation lap. Just get the dual green lights. Okay, so we don't get the green lights, we get nothing. But off they go on a formation lap. Drivers weaving around early on this lap. Everyone seems pretty desperate to get some tire temperature into those tires. Panda all far ahead. You don't want to get too far ahead. What happens is you get too far ahead, it means you're going to sit all by yourself on that pit box waiting for all the cars to line up, and all the while that tire temperature you worked so hard on the formation lap to build up, it simply drops off. Bring up your tire screen so you guys can have a bit of an idea of what's going on. Starting on wet, as you can see, grand majority of the field starting on the medium, just two drivers from the 13 runners, going with another option. That's Boinky starting towards the rear in P9. He's going for the hard compound. And then up at the front, the Williams in P3, not Shumi. Well, I think he's looking to go aggressive in the early stages of the race. He's going to be the only car on track with a set of softs, which means he's going to be the earliest to pit, maybe hoping for an early safety car. Not the best camera angle, but don't blame me, blame the game. That's your red lights. It's going to be McLaren versus Alpine into turn 1. Let's see if we can get a better view. There we go. Alpine leads the way into turn 1. Let's go down the field. Looks like everybody got through turn 1 nicely. Same thing happened on Monday night. Monaco can sometimes be quite chaotic into turn 1, but everybody seems to have made it through there fine. I don't see any carbon fiber in the background, so Panda leads the way. Maggot P2, not Shumi, in P3. Remember, that's the car on softs, so keep your eyes on the Williams. It's a good strategy anywhere else, but here in Monaco it's really difficult to make those overtakes, and if you're not able to make the overtakes stuck behind someone on a slower compound, you'll never get the benefit of the soft tyre. So if he's going to make those overtakes, he needs to make them soon and get on with it. Try and build up a bit of a lead, a bit of a buffer for when he has to be the first man to pit. Of course, if you do get an early safety car, come in, get rid of those tyres. Works out perfectly. Panda over the line. Turn that first lap. Ooh, we've already got a pit stop, and it's a big pit stop. It's a wing and it's everything else. So Spikes, he will rejoin this race, but do not fear, Spikes. If you watched Monday's race, you'll know safety cars, or even multiple safety cars, will still definitely swing things around. The other Ferrari, thought he was going to miss the race. He got in eventually. He's in P5. Skull. Shane just up the road from him. He's following the only driver on the soft compound, not Shumi. For now, able to stay with the soft runner. See, the unfortunate thing with this is you may have the superior grip, but there's just nowhere to put the car. The circuit, one of its main criticisms is that it's not nearly wide enough for modern F1. And with the cars getting bigger and heavier every single year, it just becomes more and more difficult to find a gap at Monaco. If the driver ahead of you can stick to a racing line, put the car in the middle of the corner where it's important, and just block you, there's not much you can do. Unless he makes a mistake, gets a bad exit, becomes a traction race, maybe into the tunnel, maybe onto the straight. Other than that, it's got to be really courageous. We have a caution flashing on our screen. Hopefully that's all it is. Seems like that car is back underway. Panda leads at the front. Maggot P2, not Shumi. Still holding on to those two. Loki, very early on, lap 4 of 39, becomes the first driver to pick up a penalty. Track surrounded by Armco. Where are you guys cutting the track? The only place, well, there are actually several places. Right here in the hairpin, you can take too much of that. Sometimes it triggers it. No idea why, because if you do get up on that pavement, all you do is lose time. But this next section here, I think this is where most of the invalidated laps come from. Right here. Well, that was pretty clean by Shane actually. I don't know if he's listening to the stream, but usually what we see is the guys really stick to that inside curve, and sometimes they just take too much of it. They cut the corner, do that one too many times, you get a 3-second penalty. If you do it this early in the race, you start to worry. It could really pile up at the end. Top 3 still close together, Natsumi trying to stay within DRS range. Look at that, he's actually picked up a lot of time. I think that's with the tyres, that's the evidence of the softs. There's just, he dropped back almost a second back, and he's right back up there, and I think it's just certain parts of the track. He's got that grip, he's able to come back at them, but unfortunately there's just overtaking is an issue. Well, Maggot definitely jumped the chicane there, holds on to his position. Might have got a warning for that. Of course, we don't see the warnings. The drivers will see the warnings popping up on their screens. They'll have it in their mind how many they have. Is it 1? Is it 2? How many strikes? Already had a few drivers come in for pit stops. Just noticed that Loki has DNF'd, so he was the only driver with a penalty. He's DNF'd early on in the race. It hasn't triggered any sort of safety car. We've got Stoffel in P11, and there's also seeming to be a problem with that car. That car is ghosting. And then there we go. So I think we've just got 10 drivers currently, active drivers in this race. Everyone who can keep the car in a straight line, everybody who can bring the car to the checkered flag has the opportunity of points. Of course, Stoffel can still retake control of that car. That all depends if he can get back into the lobby. Panda still leads the way. The gap now starting to grow. 1.1 seconds between him and Maggot. Natsumi also just dropping off the one McLaren and now starting to get attacked by the other. Of course, that car they're lapping is ghosting, so you'd assume you can just drive right through it. You don't have to worry about the overtake, but it's still awfully distracting, especially when you've got someone in your mirrors and this ghost car is just lingering around for a little too long. So Natsumi, not so long ago, he was chasing a McLaren. Now he's being chased by a McLaren. The Ferrari of Skull currently in P5, so right in the middle. Of course, 10 active drivers right now in the field. Ooh, and that's a big incident. We actually saw it from the perspective of Skull. That was a big incident. Shane will take no further part in the race. Obviously, I had a better camera angle of that. We didn't actually see what happened. We just saw the wheel flying up. And Shane triggers a virtual safety car. Would have thought that would have triggered a little more than a virtual safety car. It was a really big hit. Shane becomes the second DNF. I was talking about 10 active drivers. Well, now even the ghost car can get a point. Of course, I doubt very much we will beat the Monaco record for lowest finishes. 4 drivers. Just the 4 drivers in 1996. Can you imagine being the one unlucky driver not to be on the podium? All I remember about that race is Schumacher crashed on the formation lap. Olivier Panis won the race, his only race win. And Coulthard was on the podium. Not sure if he was second or third and who else was on the podium, but I remember Coulthard was on the podium. Somehow he managed to finish that race in a very, at the time, unreliable McLaren. Panda leads the way at just under a second. That's Gull. He's been making up the positions. He's up into P3. 3.6 seconds adrift from the top 2. Not Shumi. That explains that. He's come into the pits. He's on a fresh set of hard tyres. Let me know in the comment section if there's any drivers that have retired, or if there's anyone that's familiar with the circuit. What's the what would you say is the maximum range on a set of hards? Panda gap has come down. We said it went all the way up to 9/10, which is just under a second, and now all of a sudden that McLaren looking very close to the Alpine. That's how quickly it can happen. Just a small mistake on an exit of a corner, all of a sudden car's right back on your gearbox. But luckily for you, if you're the defending driver, you're in Monaco. That's a nasty, nasty place to spin. That was Stoffel. Yes, that was Stoffel. He's back in the car. So Stoffel has been able to get back into the car, but he's met on his return with a terrible 48-second gap to the rest of the field. So he's just got to get his head down, do the laps, and hope that a safety car comes out. That'll obviously neutralize things and bring him right to the back of that queue. Luckily for him, he's not a lap behind. Or is he? If he is a lap behind, well then he's not going to be able to come back into this race regardless of a safety car. Safety car doesn't let you unlap yourself. Have another virtual safety car. Third retirement. And it's actually Stoffel, so that car was ghosting for most of the race. I think Stoffel finally got himself into the car. And he probably just couldn't come to terms with the Monaco circuit in that short period of time. Stoffel looked to have regained control of the car and then immediately retired. So we're down to 9 runners. No full safety car triggered as of yet. Means that everybody will have to drive around at an average speed within a delta. The RS is enabled and we can get back underway. You can see the green LEDs flashing. We're back underway. For some of the drivers at the back here, they would have loved a full safety car. Battle at the front continues. These two can't seem to leave each other alone. Panda leads the way from Maggot, but just so difficult to overtake. You can see he opened up DRS there, but it really did nothing. It's not much of a straight. But these guys have been able to do. Of course, we had the 1 penalty, but that car has since retired. So the field currently on the road, no penalties so far. Big difference from what we saw on Monday night. Guys knowing the importance of staying out of that penalties column. Panda and Maggot, then Skull in P3, having a bit of a lonely race at the moment. He's almost 4 seconds adrift from the fight for P1, and he's 12 seconds ahead of Natsumi. So in a bit of a race of his own at the moment. Then Boinkies in P5. He is under a little bit of pressure from Pantry Star. I say a little bit of pressure because when you're the defending driver, this is the best place to be on the calendar. This is your best chance to keep that opponent behind you. On any other circuit, he'd scoot past you in the first DRS zone. But over here, you can see it, DRS open. There's nowhere to go. Unless the driver ahead makes a mistake, or you do something incredibly brave. Are we going to see something incredibly brave? Well, what we did see was contact. It was brief contact. Let's try and have a look at that RB. Is it missing an end plate? I think it's missing an end plate on the right hand side. There we go. Confirmation. Pantry Star went for the move, lost an end plate, and this is the last track on the calendar you want to be missing any form of downforce. So he's either going to come into the pits or he's going to have a pretty tough next couple of laps. A little further down, we have Chums in the other Saldo in P7, also pretty lonely race at the time. Then we've got Spikes, the other Ferrari, in P8, and Tylee Boy. As we go to Tylee Boy, we've burst him. 3-second penalty for Tylee Boy. Closest battles in the field, it's this one here, Panda versus Maggot. That's for the lead of the race. The other battle on track is Boinkies versus Pantry Star. That is the battle for P5. Everybody else in a bit of a cushion, in a bit of a lonely race for the time being. Of course, pit windows will change that. We still have 3 medium runners at the front. Those are the tyres they started on, so Panda, Maggot, Skull, all 3 of those cars will come into the pits. What's interesting there is I actually think Natsumi will take the lead of this race. Then it all comes down to tyres. How long can they take those hards? Surely not to the end. And of course another thing to remember is sometimes you can be, ooh, we've got a Ferrari. Was that a Ferrari? I believe it was a Ferrari. I think it was a Ferrari. Where is it? There we go, there it is. It was a Ferrari. Spikes. Oh no, he's going to Austin Powers it. Just can't get it turned around. Spin it. Spin it around. I think he's too scared of braking it a little more. Finally gets it going. But unfortunately for him, that Ferrari is a very broken one. Is that Boinkies? Yes it is, that's Boinkies. So coming up to lap the Ferrari. Biggest problem with being lapped, especially here in Monaco, the track is very short. You can get lapped very quickly if you make a pit stop or two too many because of damage. And then when that safety car comes out, you can't unlap yourself. So regardless of what happens in the rest of the race, you're going to finish a lap behind. spoke about those medium runners coming in, and now they've all come in. I said Notsumi would be leading the race, and there we go, confirmation, Williams in the lead. How big will that lead be when these cars get back on circuit? 9.2 seconds. Of course, it may just increase now in the next couple of corners. Maybe on the first lap the gap will increase just a little bit. Remember, Notsumi's got tire temperature, he's got momentum. These guys have just come out of the pits. They're going to have to warm up these tires, get a feel for them. They've been on the medium since the start of the race. Now this will be their first experience on the hard. They'll soon be up to speed. Said that gap will increase a little. It has 9.8 seconds up from 9.1, so he's found another 7/10. Notsumi. It's crucial that he builds this gap as much as possible, because his tires are 8 laps old versus the 3 cars behind him with brand new tires. So his tires will fall off sooner and those cars will reel him in. So at this point of the race, it's crucial for him to be getting off into the distance, while Panda continues to feel the pressure from the McLaren. Maggot starting to get frustrated. I have to imagine he's getting frustrated. He's just spent the entire race looking at the rear wing of an Alpine, and now looking to force a mistake, force an error. Just pile on the pressure and hope something gives. In the process, Skull coming up very much into this battle. Of course, any failed overtake at this circuit, both drivers are going to lose an incredible amount of time. So we saw that side by side almost contact between the drivers, and Skull suddenly able to reel them in. So the more they battle, the easier they're going to make it for Notsumi to extend that gap, and they're also going to bring Skull into a podium race. Of course, I gave Panda some very valuable advice before the race. I think this is why he's in P2. Told him to throw the setup out the window and go for 0-0 wings. Not sure if he listened to my advice, but he is in P2, so I'll take the credit. The other man I told to go on 0 wings is in P4, so maybe I called it. That is completely a joke, by the way. I don't think anyone in their right mind would be on 0-0 wings around this circuit. I think the only thing more difficult about this circuit is if it was raining right now. Wouldn't that spice things up? Of course, it's a lot of laps for a 50% distance race, 39. That's because of the lap distance. All Formula 1 races are approximately 300 kilometers in distance. So depending on the length of that circuit, that's how they have to make up the distance. Kyalami used to be 73 laps, I believe. I think it was, well, it was in the 70s. I'm pretty sure it was 72 or 73 laps. Full race distance. Of course, in Monaco, sometimes if weather is involved, you don't get to do all the laps. The 2-hour limit comes into play. Point is what I was talking about earlier. Right to the inside of that chicane, and that's how penalties can happen. Also over here, looking to, not here, on the previous chicanes, just looking for too much curb. Wankies into the pits. The Ferrari of Skull. HP really got their branding out there, didn't they? Look at that, it's on the front. It's on the front of the halo, it's on the top of the halo. And it's on the wheel. They really want you to know. Of course, if you found out how much they paid for that, it's frightening. Of course, once F1 was dominated by tobacco sponsorships, and as far back as 1997, Marlboro was paying Ferrari more than today's current budget cap to be on that car. Chums now second driver into the penalties. We have penalties for Tyler Boy and Chums. Just get confirmation on those penalties. Chums 3 seconds. Tyler Boy has racked up another, so he's up to 6. Natsumi still leading the way. Then we've got Panda. Still under pressure from that McLaren. What a job he's done. He's had his hands full. Maggot has not made it easy. He hasn't just accepted 3rd place. He's come at that Alpine so many times. But at some stage, you've just got to sit back, rethink how you're going to do this approach. You've attacked, you've put him under pressure. He hasn't made the mistake. If you just sit back, cool your tires for a second, cool your head, and then have another go. Natsumi thought that gap would begin to fall, but has grown it to over 11 seconds. It was 11.9, it's now 11.5, so starting to shrink slightly. It's lap 22 of 39. Let me know in the comment section. I'm still waiting. If anybody does know, let me know the maximum life on those hards. How far can you possibly take them? Surely not. Shumi would have to pit again. He's already done 15 laps on those tires. Two Salvers appear to be together on the timing screen, but they are 4 seconds down the road from each other. P6, P7. Some more penalties popping up on the screen. Chums, Tyler Boy and Spikes. They're all for track infringements. Not much in the way of position changes. I think the biggest winners, Chums, he's made up 4 positions. Boinkies, he's made up 3 positions. So good result for the Sauber team if they can get both of those cars up into the points. Well, they are in the points. They just need to finish in the points. Everyone's in the points. I think this is the most important screen, is the tires. How far will Natsumi take those tires? And look, the gap is starting to shrink. It's now 10.9 seconds. And I wonder if he's just past the absolute peak of those hards. Of course, I still think the hards still have a lot of life in them. They may have just passed their absolute peak. And now Panda and Maggot as well as Skull, their tyres are now approaching that peak. Maybe not Shumi's listening to the stream in the background because he's responded. Just got the gap back to 11 seconds. Wants to keep it that way for as long as possible. We'll ride with the man in P4 because he's got a pretty good seat to the action. Just up the road from him, he's got Panda, he's got Maggot. Maggot's been looking at the back of that Alpine for way too long. Surely at some stage he's going to get frustrated. He's going to go for some sort of a move. This is Maggot. Let's ride on board with Maggot as he goes up the straight with DRS open. Let's see how close he gets. But if he does try to pull a move, it's probably not going to be in turn 1. You need Panda to go extremely wide into turn 1, and he doesn't do that. Just clips the apex of the corner. Couldn't do better than that. If you're going to make an overtake, I think it needs to be here. You need to get the ultimate slipstream and then just throw it up the inside. Over here even lines it up. There's just no space. There's nowhere to go. It's not that the other driver isn't giving you space. It's just that he's trying to keep it out of the wall himself. Just nowhere to go for the McLaren. And every time he does attack, it's just going to allow that Ferrari to come back at him a little bit more. Now they're really close together. You can hardly see the McLaren. That's how closely tucked in it is behind the Alpine. To have been at it all race. The sort of race that when you see the checkered flag you'll breathe a sigh of relief. It's been a seriously impressive defensive drive. You can just see the McLaren there on the left hand mirror. Of course, F1 mirror is not the most effective parts of the car. Mirror is mostly used to add a little something to the downforce. The mirror part of the mirror is an afterthought. Ferrari was starting to slip back. We saw Skull 1.1 seconds adrift from the McLaren, and now he's immediately been able to come back at them, and that's because every time they engage, Ferrari is close enough to come right back into the battle. So if these two were to do anything silly, if there was any sort of a collision, Ferrari is in prime position to pick up the pieces. Similar to a George Russell situation in Austria. So now for Maggot, not only is he trying to continually apply pressure to the Alpine, now he's got to be worried about a Ferrari not doing a move of his own. And he's going left, he's going right. Where does he go? He goes towards the inside, but the Alpine's going to have the inside into the very next corner. And you can almost feel the frustration. No safety cars in this race. Quite a different experience from what you had on Monday, of course. Those safety cars came pretty late in the race. Not safe just yet. They're only safe of safety cars with 3 laps to go, so that would be lap 56 of 39 until lap 36. The safety car could be just around the corner. Not Shumi. Well, he didn't like what I had to say about the gap shrinking because he's responded 12.3 seconds. Now is that him getting quicker, or is that as a result of this 2-car battle now starting to become a 3-car battle, and the pressure on these drivers is obviously going to distract them from getting ultimate laps. You're looking at your mirrors, you're not focusing on all the apexes and all the braking points as you normally would. You're chasing, you're racing, and sometimes a mistake. It's not far away. These 3 cars just so close together. I just feel something's got to give. Of course, another thing to remember is these 3 cars, they've been pretty close together, but if any of those 3 cars gets a penalty, well, they're effectively out of this competition, because these cars are so close together, so evenly matched. They've been able to equal each other's pace lap after lap. Of course, we haven't had any safety cars to bring the field back together, so these 3 are together on lap 29 of 39 on pure pace, on pure race pace. The only interruptions we have had were virtual safety cars. That's what you see sometimes at the end of the race, the gaps are so close, but it's not because the race was close, it's because we had a late safety car. The guys here in the top 4 just in a different league. Of course not Shumi, it's far up the road, but his strategy is going to be out of sync with everybody else. So he's either hoping for a safety car to make a late pit stop, or he's going to take those tyres all the way to the end, which would be very impressive. But if he does do that, surely they're going to be hanging on by a thread, and that gap will come down quickly. Advantage to Natsumi is it's a rather big lap, it's a rather big gap, and when they do catch him, they need to pass him in Monaco. Skull just getting out of shape there. Saw the car just squirming, but able to hold on to it. Opens up DRS. It's back onto the back of the McLaren. I don't think the McLaren's close enough this time round for a move. No, he's not. Saw him try to get past on this corner before. Seen him line up the Alpine many times before, but now that gap 0.8 of a second. There's just certain parts of the track that Panda is able to just get a breather, pull away a little, but then almost as quickly as you see that gap expand, you see it come right back down. The only penalties to worry about are the last 3 drivers in the field, so for the time being we don't need to worry about penalties affecting the win or the podium for now. Skull will be hoping one of those 2 ahead of him trip into a penalty, so that would mean guaranteed podium. And now McLaren, ooh, just having enough, and the Ferrari in the background, similar to the incident we saw with his teammate, just getting stranded between the 2 Armco walls, losing a lot more than just an end plate. That wing is very damaged. He's going to have to come into the pits, and from what was looking like such a strong race, Skull, we just saw the incident in the background. But it's so easy to make a mistake in Monaco. That's what makes winning this race so important to F1 drivers. A mistake is almost inevitable. You need to be perfect. For Skull, he's still in the race. Ooh, he's lost the other side of his wing as well, so that's really just down to how difficult it is to drive around this circuit without any wings. So you can just see him missing all sorts. Oh, now he's picked up a penalty as well. Just trying to get back to the pits, having a bit of a shortcut. He'll dive into the pits now. No need to retire. He will be frustrated, but points on the table. So he'll put on a new front wing. Hopefully he doesn't have any rear wing damage, because then that car becomes quite undrivable. Pretty lengthy pit stop. Pantry star. Does make up a position. Let's see where Boinky says he's coming around the final corner. So as far as track position goes, damage really limited for Skull. It was in P4, now in P5. Sure, the gap has changed considerably, but as far as the points go, things haven't gotten much worse. I think he may have just got away with that a little. In the front, and making no mistakes at this time, not Shumi, leads the field. That gap has now dropped out of the double digits. It's 9.9 seconds. Maybe those hards, starting to feel the effects of those hards. The one benefit he does have is the man that's down the road is in a battle of his own. I don't know how focused he is on that 10-second gap, and how focused he is on his mirrors. Maggot's actually dropped off to 1.1 seconds now. That's the biggest we've seen the gap in quite some time. But remember, I said there's parts of the track where Panda sort of takes a breather, and then in the third sector it appears that Maggot catches right up to Panda right again. Usually that gap goes up to about 7 or 8 tenths. Last time it went up to just over a second. So I wonder if Maggot's just using up those tyres a little bit too quickly, finding it difficult to stay that close to the Alpine. You know, when you attack lap after lap, you saw what happened to this driver over here. The lead Ferrari this evening. Both Ferraris have had nasty incidents, the one in P5, the other one in P9. And at the front, it's still all about the Williams. 9.1 seconds. The gap is now starting to dramatically drop. If it was any other race circuit, I'd say get excited, but they need to pass him, and I think that's going to be even more difficult than catching him. It's only 5 laps to go. They'll have to catch him at a rate of almost 2 seconds a lap. So I think this buffer might just be big enough. But what sort of condition are those tyres in? Wish we could see the percentage on those tyres, but it would be very unfair to bring it up on the stream, even if we did have that information. Giving away critical information to other drivers who could be listening in the background. One league once sent me a pretty strongly worded DM about having that info that you see on the middle of the screen. League was pretty angry that I was giving away battery levels. So if the viewers have a problem with seeing the battery levels, let me know, but most of the time you guys ask for the graphic if I don't put it up. This is the leader, all out on his own. Gap is continuing to fall, 8.5 seconds. Panda, I wonder if this is why the gap has fallen. He's just now shaken off Maggot. The gap's almost 2 seconds and he's just able to concentrate on that gap ahead. Doesn't have to think so much about what is happening behind him. Maggot now just dropping off from the back of the Alpine where he spent most of his race. Pantry Star in P5, and Skull might still get his P4 back. So looking for a glass half full situation. Well, Pantry Star does have the fresher tyre, rather Skull does have the fresher tyre, so if he is able to find an overtake on the RB, well, he's going to finish exactly where he was when that crash happened. This is the only position he lost, was to the RB when he was in the pits. So if he's able to make up this position, damage is minimized. Crashed in P4, managed to finish in P4. That's not a bad record. Just keep it on track for the next 2 laps. I mentioned the safety car safe zone, lap 36 of 39. We have passed that point, so no more safety cars can happen in this race. I know races can end under safety car, but I don't think I've ever seen that in the game. So I can correct me in the comment section if you've ever seen one of these races end under safety car. Would be quite the anticlimax. Laps are running out, the gap is coming down, but the laps are running out. Panda would have needed a few more laps to get on the back of that Williams. I just don't think he's going to have enough. 7.1 seconds. He keeps on coming down sector after sector, but Jimmy's about to go over the line. Start lap 38 of 39. Panda needed to break free of that McLaren earlier. I think not Jimmy. What a return to the track. What a return to the track. Potentially looking at a top step in Monaco. Go to what is the closest and only battle out on track at the moment. Keep our eyes on this one. It's Pantry Star versus Skull. I think Skull desperately wants his P4 back. He knows that there's not that many laps to go. The last thing he wants to do is lose another wing, because this time he doesn't have a huge buffer. He will lose positions. Just don't want to do anything silly. Just apply the pressure. Hope the mistake comes. Throwing it into the wall at this late stage, damaging a wing. Just no point. Maggot P3. He chased hard. He challenged hard. Just couldn't get past that Alpine. And I wonder if those tyres fell off or if he just accepted third place. That was quite the battle. Lap after lap, trying. Left, right, every other way, and just not finding a way past. One of the unique attributes of this circuit, probably the only circuit left on the calendar where a brilliant defensive drive can actually happen. Tidy Boy adds another 3 seconds. Skull has gotten past. We didn't see it on screen. What has happened there? Thought Skull got past. Now he's fallen down. Skull down to P6. Another 3-second penalty for Tidy Boy. No idea what's going on there. At the back of the field, the Haas just looking for New ways around the Monaco circuit, shorter ways around the Monaco circuit, an alternate layout. It's picked up a lot of penalties as a result. Not Shumi has gone over the checkered flag in the meanwhile. Panda P2, Maggot P3, no penalties involved, so those drivers are all confirmed to be on the podium. Don't expect a big switch. Go down to Pantry Star, he's in P4. It's a 1 second gap in the third sector, so he's pretty comfortable if he doesn't do anything silly. Three cars at the bottom there have also taken the checkered flag. They were a lap behind, so these will be the final cars over the grid. Pantry Star, Boinkies and Skull. Sorry about muting the game, but F1 are a greedy bunch. They don't want you to hear their podium song. So there we go. There are your official results. Natsumi taking the victory. Panda P2, Maggot P3. Maggot really tried. He threw everything at that Alpine, just couldn't get past. Pantry Star P4 managed to hold on to the P4 at the end. Boinky's P5. Skull fell down to P6. Then we've got Tiley Boy with all sorts of penalties. 15 seconds. And then Chums, Spikes, Stoffel, Shane, and Loki. Of course, now top 3 drivers are invited to the cooldown room on the NFR Discord server. Of course, you can join the cooldown room and I will bring you into the comms box for a short chat. Of course, sometimes drivers aren't in the mood. So we'll just give it a minute or two, see if anybody joins. I'll be back with you in about a minute. Okay, so far it's a late start. I don't know if guys are mic shy this evening, but we'll wait another few seconds. Of course, second Monaco race in just 3 days. There were 2 very different races. Tier 1, lots of safety cars, lots of penalties. This one didn't look like we were going to get lots of penalties, but at the end, there were quite a few. I think we have Panda in the cooldown room by himself, so we'll bring him on. Actually, he's just disappeared. So let's see if he comes back. There we go. We do have some drivers now in the cooldown room. Gonna see if this time we have success. We do have some drivers now in the cooldown room. There we go. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yep, 100%.
Great stuff. So let's see, who do we have in here? We've got Panda and we've got Maggot. Well, that's well, what can I say about you two? You guys, yeah. You were
Yes, what
looking
a
at
race.
you were looking at an Alpine for how long?
38 laps.
Yeah, it was a
No,
long 39 laps, not gonna lie.
Jeez. Yeah, no,
I,
it was all fair, all fair. It was all good racing.
I don't know what would be worse, defending for 38 laps or trying to attack for 38 laps.
I would rather be defending.
Well, if I was at Monaco, I'd rather be in front as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
true.
I think it's a bit
I,
easier.
I think
I
you
mean, the
couldn't.
track is as wide as the car, so there's not
Yeah,
really much you can do.
Yeah, no,
that
it's
was good.
crazy because, like, I mean, if you look at like F1 you know, the FIA Grade 1 standards that you have to have for a circuit. Monaco breaks it so badly. Like
Yeah.
a track
No.
should be it should be 12 meters wide at its least, and I think Monaco is 10. so
Probably
these
at its
cars,
widest.
yeah, at its widest. So these cars, they just don't have space. And I mean, you guys probably got
Yeah.
most of the broadcast coverage, and I did so much
Jeez,
on
nah.
board of maggots, and there was just nowhere. The DRS zone
Yeah.
is useless, and then pretty much up into casino. I think you tried a few times.
Yeah, I pushed my luck a few times, but yeah, couldn't get it.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I don't know. This track, I don't think it's a good track to race on. I think the race happens on qualifying. Shumi had like a big ass undercut. I think he put it on like lap 7 or 8 with the first virtual,
Yeah,
and
he had a massive
I couldn't
undercut.
catch him.
He had a
He had a
massive
massive
undercut.
undercut.
His tires were about 10 laps older than yours. So
Yeah. I think he put it
Yeah,
on the first VSC, so he gained a lot of
yeah,
time there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He gained a lot of time there.
I was like,
Yeah,
I actually didn't even understand how he got to that position. It was a serious undercut, and
Mm.
yeah, that was massive. Because I think he started on the softs as well, and I think the
Yes.
first VSC came out. I think lap 8 or 9,
Yeah. So yeah, 8
and
or 9. Yeah.
then
yeah,
he
and he
just
put it
got on
for
the
Haas
hards and
and
took it to the end.
took
Yeah.
it to the end. Yeah, that was big brain move there. I'm not gonna lie.
No, he did well, and then to obviously to hold on to the tires and stuff like that. And when you have such a lonely race, you can make mistakes.
Yeah, you can kind of coast a bit. Yeah.
I
Save
think
the
Yeah,
I
tires.
think you guys also helped him with that gap. Every time you
Yeah, we
engaged,
did. Because
like,
yeah, we
Skull
did
was
it.
about
Yeah,
5 seconds behind, and he started catching us like half a second a lap.
and
So
it
yeah.
became a battle for three
Yeah.
until the Ferrari crashed. Actually, both Ferraris had like very similar incidents. Yeah,
Yeah,
both
I
of
don't know what
them.
happened there because I think we went into turn one, myself and Panda, got a
yeah.
little bit locked up there, and when I saw again the Ferrari at the back was facing
Was spinning.
sideways.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know if he was maybe too fast on the throttle or
maybe
what
he
happened
touched.
there, but I
Yeah, I
just
don't know.
I just saw him spin as well.
Mm.
Sometimes,
Yeah,
like if you're in that DRS train and you're thinking about that pass into the next corner, and you just forget about the throttle, and you get a bit, yeah.
No, it was good fun. That was like a cool.
Glad you
yeah. It
guys.
was
Thanks
like
again,
Oh
guys.
wait, we do have somebody else.
100%.
Wait, let's bring him in. We've got somebody else. Here we go.
Gone.
Not
Oh, he's
Shumi.
gone. He's gone. He was there briefly, but I know that was an impressive undercut. I was actually looking to get him in here,
Yeah.
but yeah, is he back? No, he's not. Okay, well, I'm gonna call it, guys. I'm gonna end the stream. To everyone who's still watching, yeah, we've still got all our viewers from the race. So everyone who's stayed for the chat, I'm not gonna call it an interview, the chat, and we'll be back tomorrow night at DRS. Does anybody know what track we're doing at DRS tomorrow? Anyone?
Australia.
No idea.
Australia.
Australia. Yeah.
Oh, I don't like Australia, but everybody else, everyone who's watching, we'll see you tomorrow night, and if not, we'll see you on Sunday evening. Till then,
Cool.
cheers, and the stream is done.